The home of British motor racing, Silverstone hosts round 5 of the 2014 Maxxis British Drift Championship. With only the Super Pros here this weekend, we're going to see some very close battles and a hell of a lot of smoke. So, let's go drifting. The last round at Liddon Hill, we reversed the track and surprised everyone, and the drivers seemed to absolutely love it. Let's have a quick recap of round 4.
I'm here with Zach from New Zealand. Thought he'd come over and try out the British Drift Championship. Second round, is it?
Yeah, second round. Driving for Skid Risk in the R33 here. So we did the Liddon Hill for the first round, and then here at Silverstone, trialling it out. So it's a bit of a blast, a bit different to New Zealand, but sort of getting the hang of it slowly. Yeah, the actual vibe itself is very similar to New Zealand. I mean, there's so many people here today. It's such a great atmosphere, so it's a good event to be at.
Great to have you on board, and look forward to seeing you out there mixing it with the rest.
Thanks, man. No, really
Thank you very much. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Matt, you've just had your practice session on the track. What's it like driving at Silverstone?
Silverstone's always a great circuit to drive. Unfortunately, I've got a bit of a misfire at the moment. I think it's something wiring, so I'm going to have a bit of a play with the wiring, which isn't always the best thing for me to do myself, but I'll have a look and hopefully it'll be fine. Yeah.
What's the track like here at Silverstone? Is it a quick track?
It's a fast track. It's flat out, third, fourth gear, so it's a good 110, 120 plus.
Thanks very much, Matt.
All right. Nice one.
I'm in the pits here with all the drivers, and here at the BDC we have a great feeder system which allows drivers to progress into the class above themselves and compete with different drivers. One such driver here is Adam. Adam, you finished second in the Pro Division last round, and so you're here competing in the Super Pros. How's it feel?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, just really chuffed to be here, to be honest.
And what's your track like today?
Yeah, it's good track, really fast. Struggling a bit for grip, to be honest. It's not as grippy as I was told or as I thought. But yeah, it seems to be working well. Get the car dialed in and hopefully get a good result.
What's your plan for the rest of the season?
I'm going to push as hard as I can now for Anglesey. So the car's getting rebuilt at the end of the season, so I'm really going to push hard for Anglesey and try and get a good finish for the end of the season. Hopefully progress up to the next class.
Thanks very much, Adam. That's brilliant. So I'm going to pass you over to Matt, who's going to go through this round's tech feature.
Thanks, Corin. We're here with Phil Morrison, Driftworks driver with the awesome DW86. Just going to go through a few of the little technical bits. Obviously from the outside, it looks like, as they all do, an awesome 86. But this one's a little bit wider. It's got a few little secrets hidden inside it. So we're going to have a chat with Phil, go around it, find out all the little technical secrets. All right, Phil?
Very good, man.
So we've got a Black Widow sort of rear axle in it. Come from an ASCAR, was it, that you pulled out of?
Yeah, a lot of the car originally came from an ASCAR, sort of a UK NASCAR. The whole concept was based around buying an ASCAR, not knowing what to do with it, having an A86 sat in the corner and thinking, let's like meld the two together. We were thinking like, what would be a completely dumb idea, and then we'll do that.
Yeah.
It's got a massive engine up front, just wants to kill you at any opportunity, really. So it's a very well-balanced car, but it equally makes it a very twitchy car to drive.
Yeah. Talking of the engine, we're going to go and have a look at that.
Yeah, cool.
So, Phil, as we were saying, again, not the usual thing you'd find on an 86 bonnet.
No, it's a big lump of steel squeezed in there by the guys at Dynatalk here. They've done most of the fabrication on the car, and we've got this is a 7.4 litre LSX engine, which is like a GM aftermarket engine, if you like. It's 750 horsepower, naturally aspirated. So yeah, kind of keeping that contained in an old 1986 Toyota Corolla is quite interesting.
The car is a complete package, just looks absolutely brilliant. Obviously, good luck today. Great to see you out there, and good luck.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
sunny Silverstone once again played host to the British Drift Championship. Qualification was as tight as usual, with the top drivers battling it out, trying to get a place in the top 16 battles. Some managed to do it and others didn't. Let's see what the results were like. Shane O'Sullivan took first, securing some well-deserved points, increasing his lead in the championship. Paul Conlon in the Hell S15 managed to take second, and Simon Perry in third. With qualification results decided, it was straight into our top 16 battles. First up, we see Danny Isles versus Paul Cheshire. The Team Jack Speed Subaru, powered by a 1JZ engine, going up against Paul Cheshire in the Nissan G35, powered by a 2JZ. And as you can see, 100 mile an hour into that first corner, Danny Isles smoking the rear end of that Subaru as he goes round that final corner. Paul Cheshire, hardly been able to see where he's going, he's literally following through that smoke, and Danny Isles putting in a good lead run. So the guys have switched it around. We're going to see now Paul Cheshire as the lead car. What can Danny Isles do now as the chase car? This track is so fast that you've got to get right on the door, and he almost does that, but runs slightly wide. Danny Isles is now going to try and chase Paul in the G35, and he's managing to catch up nicely on this final section, taking a good qualifying line. And Paul Cheshire, though, just offline there. The judges will penalise him for that, so we'll have to wait and see. Next up is Stephen Biagioni, currently second in the championship. Needs to do everything he can to gain some points and try and move into the lead. He's going up against Wesley Keating from Team WKD Imports, all the way over from Ireland. Bagsy in the Monster Energy car is putting in a fantastic run here, though. But Wesley Keating is all over the door, as you can see, chasing Bagsy down really nicely there. Good chase run from Wesley Keating. I'm sure that he'll impress the judges. So these guys switch around. So Stephen Biagioni is going to try and do everything he can to get good close proximity, and he's made a big mistake there. As he got so close to Wesley Keating, he had to back off to avoid a collision. Wes is now just going to try and put his foot down and show a clean pair of legs to Bagsy, but Bagsy's caught up well. But I don't think the judges will give an advantage to Bagsy on that run. It looks like it may go to Wesley. So straight up now into our next top 16 battle, we see Paul Conlon qualifying second in the Hell Performance S15, going up against Boss Motorsports Steve Speed Moore, as we like to call him. So Paul Conlon, a veteran here at Silverstone, having competed here for years before, puts in a fantastic lead run. But Steve Moore just showing his consistency, but Paul pulling a great gap there on Steve, and it's looking good. So they switch it around. Steve will now become the lead car as he flicks it into that first corner. Paul Conlon with a shallow angle there, slightly offline. The judges are going to mark him down. He's run very wide, Paul Conlon, so Paul running very wide and allowing Steve Moore to take an advantage on this run, I suspect. The judges won't be pleased to see that, and it looks like Paul, although had a great qualification session, he's now just struggling a little bit in these battles. Some great battles so far in the top 16. We continue with Luis Lopez, Spanish champion, competing in the British Drift Championship, going up against Lucas Oil's Nankang Tyres, Mark Looney. So Mark Looney in the Supra chasing Luis Lopez down, but Lopez is absolutely on fire here at Silverstone in that LS-powered V8 S14. So good run from Luis Lopez, and Mark Looney is just trailing there in the distance behind in that smoke. So the guys switch it around. Luis Lopez likes to get up close and personal to the drivers by rubbing the door almost, and it's no surprise here that he's getting close to Mark Looney. He almost touches. He's going to have to get it back on the qualifying line as he follows Mark Looney now into that final corner. And some dirt flicked up there. Was that wheels off? It's Luis Lopez off by the looks of things. We'll have to wait and see the judges' take on that as they move into that final corner. Was that Mark Looney who had the wheels off track first there, or did Luis Lopez throw it into the gravel there for safety and to avoid a collision? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously all that smoke making it difficult for us to see on the cameras, but the judges, with the elevation point that they are, could clearly see what had happened. Mark Looney did put two wheels off the track, and as a result Luis Lopez moves through. Next up, we've got Simon Perry from Team Lasser Tyres going up against Matt Carter, another one of the Falcon drivers. Matt Carter, the chase guy in his R32 Skyline. Great proximity from Matt Carter as he mirrors the drift of Simon Perry in the lead car. Matt Carter Fantastic run here as a chase run from Matt, as he's almost rubbing the door there as he touches almost. Does he touch? Absolute fantastic run from Matt Carter there. Exactly what the judges are looking for from these guys. So the guys switch it around. Simon Perry's going to try and repay the favour, but Matt Carter already has a slight lead and a slight gap is growing. Simon runs wide, allowing Matt to just extend that gap, and unfortunately Matt's just accelerating away from Simon as he goes round that final corner. I suspect from that chase run from Matt in that first battle that he moves through. Next up we've got Shane Lynch going up against fellow teammate Paul Smith. So Shane in the Lexus IS200, powered by a 2JZ, going up against Paul Smith, who gets ever so close in that first corner, has to back off, and as a result is giving his teammate Shane a chance to pull a little bit of a lead. But Paul Smith's doing everything he can to try and claw back an advantage on this run, but Shane keeping his cool. These guys going up against each other in battle before, and obviously his teammates have complete trust in one another. So Shane Lynch now is going to try and repay the favour and get right on the door of Paul Smith, but runs quite wide on that first corner. Can he close the gap on Paul Smith? Paul Smith making a slight correction there, and Shane is absolutely using all of that grunt on that 2JZ IS200, that Lexus unusual drift car, to try and claw it back there. So next up is another Team Jack Speed driver, Shane O'Sullivan, going up against Dan Chapman. So Shane, currently leading the British Drift Championship, is going to try and do everything he can to extend his lead and hopefully secure the championship win with one round to spare. But Dan Chapman, an experienced drifter here in the UK, is going to use his CMR Racing S14 to try and catch Shane O'Sullivan, but Shane O'Sullivan using that extra power from that RB25 to get a good lead on that first run. So the guys switch it around now. The final battle of the top 16 as Shane O'Sullivan, good speed, good angle, is right on the door, good proximity of Dan Chapman. Dan is just trying to focus on where the next transition point is in order to get it right and hopefully score as highly as possible with the judges, trying to gain an advantage, trying to claw some points back. But Shane O'Sullivan absolutely rocking it here today. After a fantastic top 16 session, we see 8 drivers making their way home, but 8 drivers going through all in with a chance of still making it onto the podium here today. With some unbelievable action still to come, make sure you stick around and join us after the break. Welcome back to the Maxxis British Drift Championship, where the crowds have come out in force here at Silverstone Circuit. With the action still to come from the Great 8, let's see what the guys can do for us. Our first Great 8 battle sees Team Jack Speed's Daniels going up against Mark Huxley in his RA28 Celica. So Daniels throws into that corner, but Mark Huxley thrown in very hard and making an excursion there. Did he nudge Danny Isles? It seemed to look very close. Danny, though, on the other hand, is continuing his drift right around this circuit with no pressure from Huxley. He's going to put in a safe run. The question is, did Huxley in his SR20 powered Celica nudge Daniels? You can see here from the replay it was ever so close. We'll have to wait and see. From the replay we can see that Mark Huxley does nudge him with the wheel, and unfortunately goes off circuit with some damage with that wheel and cannot continue. So next up, Wesley Keating going up against Steve Moore. So Wesley Keating the lead car, Steve Moore the chase car. Wesley Keating in the lead is going to try and use all of the power from that car to gain that advantage from Steve Moore. But Steve Moore, so consistent in the BDC, he's going to try everything he can to catch up. But Wesley Keating using that paddle shift and fully sequential gearbox just to keep it nice and smooth. Steve Moore flicks it now in this second battle into that first corner, but Wesley Keating on a perfect qualifying line, good speed, good angle. I suspect that he's going to try and close the gap now. taking a shallow line there though. Steve Moore spins. Steve Moore goes from hero to zero and throws it away on that second run. That will mean Wesley Keating moves straight through into our semi-finals and will be in with a chance of trying to get a place on the podium. As you can see, Steve Moore just overcooking it, puts his foot on the accelerator and turns the car into a spin. Next up, Luis Lopez going up against Matt Carter. We saw this battle at round 3 up at Teesside. It was an absolutely epic battle. Can we see it again here at Silverstone? Matt Carter struggling to keep up with the pace of Luis Lopez, but seems to be clawing it back a little bit. Lopez absolutely flat to the floor in that S14A, powered by an LS V8. Matt Carter, on the other hand, is going to try and use the 1JZ power now in the R32. Skyline has the lead car, great angle, but unfortunately it's allowing Luis Lopez to gain a bit of speed on Matt Carter and try and get underneath the rear quarter and the door. And a wheel off from Matt Carter will be penalised for that by the judges. Luis Lopez has got a good chance of going through here if he keeps it neat and tidy, and he certainly does. With some fantastic battles taking place, we're straight into our next one with Shane Lynch going up against another of his teammates. In this case though, it is Shane O'Sullivan, championship leader, and Shane O'Sullivan is putting in an absolutely astounding run here. Lynch, however, really getting used to this Lexus IS 200, so we'll have to see what the judges decide. But with a run like that from Shane O'Sullivan, I suspect that he will be going through into the semi-finals. But first, we've got to see this battle to decide that, and it is Shane Lynch as the lead car now. Shane O'Sullivan chasing him down, so Sully in the S15. Both Jap Speed drivers, and Lynch running very wide. Is Shane O'Sullivan going to go for the overtake? No, Lynch is putting the pressure back on, but Sully is holding his ground, keeping his calm, and a fantastic chase run despite that error from Shane Lynch. So with our Grade 8 concluded, we've got our semi-finalists, and we need to see that action straight away. Danny Isles going up against Wesley Keating. Danny back from a 3-year break, finally getting to grips with this Jap Speed Subaru and looking for the highest finish so far this season. He's going to do everything he can to claim a place on the podium and a place in the final, but Wesley Keating is not going to give this one over the fire as he gets so close to Danny Isles, backing off there just to allow a little bit of room. That was a close call, but he did well to back off. These guys are going to switch it around, and Danny is not going to be fazed with that proximity from before, and he's going to get right up on the door, as you can see, of Wesley Keating. This is turning out to be an absolutely epic battle as Wesley transitions there into that final corner, and a nudge from Danny Isles. Danny Isles nudges Wesley Keating, spinning him round, and therefore will be penalised by the judges. I think that may well have just put Wesley Keating into the final and a place secured on the podium. As we look at the replay, you can see Danny does give Wesley quite a nudge, and then a second one just for good measure. I'm sure that those guys will be handshakes and cuddles at the end of it, but meanwhile, we're straight into our next battle now with Shane O'Sullivan, championship leader, going up against Spanish champion Luis Lopez. Lopez in the Team Aero Kit S14A, the chase car, is hunting down Shane O'Sullivan, the championship leader, who is doing everything he can. But Lopez is perfect there with that chase run, right on the door, just giving that little bit of room required. And that was absolutely blinding to see. So next up, Shane O'Sullivan's going to flick it in behind Lopez. Lopez, though, is just going to be flat to the floor, as we've seen all day in that LS V8 powered Team Aero Kit S14A. Good transition. Shane O'Sullivan is just trailing behind a little bit there, and all that smoke from those Nexon tyres and those Maxxis tyres, unbelievable. What a run. So I can tell you that Shane O'Sullivan does go into the 3rd and 4th place battle. Luis Lopez will see in the final, but meanwhile these two Jap Speed drivers going up against one another. Danny Isles is going to do everything he can to try and get a place on the podium, but completely offline. Shane O'Sullivan's likely to be gaining some extra points from the judges for keeping it on that qualifying line. Maybe the pressure has just got to teammate Danny Isles now. The guys switch it around now. Final run for these two. Shane O'Sullivan, the chase car, is going to put some real pressure now on Danny Iles as he flicks it into that first corner. Remember, at almost 100 miles an hour, as he pushes Danny wide slightly. Danny's off circuit. Danny has gone far too wide. He's gone into the gravel, a slight excursion, allowing Shane O'Sullivan to just drive past him there. And Shane O'Sullivan will most indeed go through and get a podium finish there, scoring third place. As you can see, Danny was offline in that first section, and as a result, it just set him up for a fail there in that final corner. And as he left the circuit, leaving some of those body parts around, we move into our final. So the sun is shining, the track is warm, we're going to see plenty of smoke from these two as Luis Lopez leads into that first corner. Who will take the top spot here at Silverstone? Lopez turns on that smoke machine, and Wesley Keating is going to do everything he can to try and catch up to Lopez, taking a shallow angle there and putting him offline. Lopez, though, is just making it very difficult with all of that smoke for Wesley to keep out and see exactly where he's going. These guys, though, very experienced in drifting. Obviously, Lewis, a champion, and Wesley Keating all the way over from Ireland, where he also competes in the IDC, going up against Luis Lopez. Luis Lopez making an error there, and he's going to try and put pressure on Wesley Keating. And Wesley Keating is repeating what Danny Iles has done, and he's gone off, throwing it away. He's been on fire all day. Where did it go wrong? Luis Lopez is just piling it through there in that finish line. He knows he's putting a good run. So as you can see, Luis Lopez was offline, a small correction from Wesley Keating, and it just sent him wide. As we saw in the previous battle against Danny Iles, Luis Lopez saw that happening and just cruised on by to take the win. So the points look like this: Luis Lopez scoring 28 points, Wesley Keating 24, and Shane O'Sullivan with those extra bonus points for qualifying first, also scoring 24 and extending the lead in the championship. That now sees Shane O'Sullivan with a 35-point lead going into the final event. Stephen Biaggioni and Matt Carter, who have been so close all season, unable to catch him now, and he takes the championship.
Top spot, finally. You happy?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm feeling really good with the car again. I think all the drivers need adapt with the car, but now I'm really happy with him and with the car.
Makes it all worth it travelling over to the UK, winning at Silverstone.
Yes, amazing.
So another great day's drifting we've had here at Silverstone. We've had great crowds, beautiful weather, and some great drifting. Can't ask for much more than that, can you?
Oh mate, absolutely awesome drifting. And finally, Luis Lopez onto the podium. The amount of times that boy's got top qualifier this year, he deserved it, coming all the way over from Spain for every single round of the British Drift Championship. It's dedication.
Yeah, he's definitely one person who knows how to go hard. But unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. So in the meantime, go hard or go home.